pressure is on KD tonight, and who wins this one?
Huge pressure, because he's going to be asked to do something that he's never been asked to do, Skip. He's always had someone to do all the other things that he will be asked to do tonight. He had a Draymond. He had Steph and Clay. He had Kyrie, James Harden. He had a Steven Adams. He had a Serge Ibaka. He's always had someone. What we've seen from Kevin Durant in the last 5 years, he has not played on anything other than a super team. He needs this game to show I'm more than a super team guy.
It's not only the greatest game of Kevin Durant's career by far. The only thing that comes close is Game 3 of the 2018 Finals, but this outstrips that by a couple standard deviations. It's one of the greatest playoff games any wing, including Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, the Mount Rushmore of wings in the NBA, at least as of this moment, has played.
There are really no words that I can use to describe what I witnessed from Kevin Durant last night. Many people were calling Kevin Durant out in this game, particularly because his two co-stars are battling injury, and it was expected for Kevin Durant to have an otherworldly performance in Game 5 against the Bucks, and he did just that. And the reason why people's expectations were so high for Kevin Durant going into this game is because he is an all-time great talent, and he must produce all-time great results. And KD has taken part in many great teams, including a super team with Golden State that has been considered one of the most dominant teams of all time. And now yet again, Kevin Durant is on a team whereby the expectations are for them to steamroll their way to the NBA championship. And understandably so, many people started to question Kevin Durant because he really hasn't had to carry a workload since OKC. And his last performance with OKC in the Western Conference Finals wasn't that great. And Kevin Durant is my favorite player in the NBA, and I keep stressing that because many people are questioning me on why would I have the Bucks beating the Nets if Kevin Durant is on the Brooklyn Nets. But I made a judgment call, and I believe that the Bucks were just a better team. They had better chemistry, and they just had a better structure. And the Nets were a team that were just thrown together, and they've shown throughout the majority of the regular season that they've had issues with guarding the paint. So I was of the belief that Giannis was just going to prove to be too much for the Brooklyn Nets. And although Giannis has been playing pretty decent, he hasn't been overwhelming for the Nets. Case in point, why they won last night. And me rooting for the Bucks is not because I'm a fan of the team or Giannis. It's just because I made a hot take and I'm sticking with my hot take. And I do not like to be wrong with my hot takes. So that's why I'm rooting for the Bucks so hard, even though it's at the expense of my favorite player's legacy. On this channel, there is no bias. I look at everything from all aspects of the game, and I take everything into account. But let me just stop and take this time to praise the performance of Kevin Durant. When the lights were the brightest, he showed why he is one of the greatest players to ever play, and he was what his team needed him to be in this crucial game. He wore every hat on the court, whether it be assisting the ball, rebounding the ball, scoring the ball, and defending. And he wasn't off the court for a single minute. He played the entire 48 minutes, and he was very, very effective. He had a near 50-point triple-double with 70 rebounds and 10 assists, and shot 70% from the field. That's something that you see only in 2K. And I'm sure we all remember what happened when the media started pushing that Patrick Beverley was locking KD up, and he went out and dropped 50, crushing the Clippers. And I think we got a little bit of that with PJ Tucker in this series. And these are the things that I just kept hearing after Game 4.
One of the keys to this series for the Bucks has been the defense of PJ Tucker, who held Kevin Durant to 9 points on 3 of 12 shooting as his primary defender in Game 4. PJ Tucker, who held Kevin Durant to 9 points on 3 of 12 shooting, who held Kevin Durant to 9 points on 3 of 12 shooting,
who held Kevin Durant to 9 points on 3 of 12 shooting.
PJ Tucker's giving him a lot of problems. Wilds.
And PJ's defense has been very great on Kevin Durant, but it runs a high risk of him potentially getting fouled out each and every time he guards Kevin Durant, because he's so physical with Kevin Durant. And last night he nearly was fouled out, ending the game with 5 fouls. So it's not much he really could have done in the game last night. But the track record of the media pushing a Kevin Durant stopper hasn't really worked well for that quote-unquote Kevin Durant stopper. Soon as the narrative is pushed, KD simply knocks it down. But this series is far from over, and PJ Tucker in Game 5, he did play pretty well on Kevin Durant. On about 2 possessions, I seen him stop Kevin Durant. But other than that, it was just night and day for Kevin Durant. And heading back to Milwaukee up 3-2, it really will be interesting to see what happens in Game 6. And as of right now, I don't know what the status of Kyrie Irving will be for the rest of this series. And James Harden looked pretty shaken up in Game 5. You can obviously see that he shouldn't have been on the court, but he pretty much was a decoy, I guess, to scare the Milwaukee Bucks. But I don't think that really worked. And it really, like I said, it really will be interesting to see what happens in Game 6. I believe the Bucks will pull it out and make this a 7-game series and ultimately win the series because of the injuries of the Brooklyn Nets stars. And Jeff Green and Blake Griffin are going to have to follow up on the game they had last night, with the defense mainly going to be focusing on Kevin Durant. It'll open up a lot more shot opportunities for them, so they need to take advantage of that. But I think the Bucks learned a valuable lesson in Game 5, and all hands will be on deck for Game 6. But once again, I want to congratulate Kevin Durant on the absolutely brilliant performance he had in the playoffs. One of the all-time great performances in the playoffs ever. And with that said, that's pretty much it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And with that said, Bucks is 7.